Most entrepreneurs get comfortable. Things, especially when things start to grow, things start to flourish, and things are going your way, and you're making the progress that you actually want to make. It's very, very common to achieve some of the goals that you set out to achieve originally, and then you start to get comfortable, especially if you've come from nothing, especially if you've over exceeded what you ever imagined you would have exceeded, and then you can kind of slip into this very comfortable path. And this is very common with a lot of people that I've spoke to, and I went through the exact same thing. It was always my mission to be able to be free, location freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and be able to work from anywhere in the world, do what I wanted, when I wanted, never had to like look at a bill for anything. And I worked really, really hard over the years to actually achieve that. And I ended up, myself and my wife, we moved to Spain, and we started to live that life that we've always wanted to live. And with that came this level of comfortability that we started to slip into. I mean, I was waking up, I was in the sun, and this is by no means to brag. This was genuinely the real life that we were actually living at the time. I was waking up, having a coffee in the sun. I would do a couple of calls with some of my clients. I would go chill by the pool, and then I'd go to the beach and have a few beers and see out the rest of the day. Might hit the gym every now and again, and that was literally my life on repeat. But you get to a point where you're waking up, and as great as that sounds, and you got the sand between your toes and the sun hitting your face, and it's what a lot of people aspire to, and money's coming in from my phone. I'm completely free on all levels, and I created that life and worked hard to create that life. And most people would say, well, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with that? But the problem is when you get to the top of that mountain that you always aspired to get to, things start to get very, very comfortable. And this happens with a lot of entrepreneurs that I've spoken to that have achieved their original goals. Now, what you've got to do to combat that is you've got to remember what actually made you happy on the route to that. And happiness was actually created on the journey to that goal. Because I was waking up every day, working hard, hustling, taking steps forward towards that goal that I always wanted to achieve. When you have that, and then there's not another thing that is actually there to achieve, it's very, very hard then to keep that happiness and keep that fulfillment. And that's exactly what happened to myself. And it was at this time where my life was very, very stagnant, and I didn't kind of know where to go next or what to do next, or like I didn't even know what I wanted to achieve, because I'd achieved everything I wanted to achieve, and I was still so young. I was very, very lost, truth be told, very lost. And it was from watching a lot of videos by an American called Andy Frisella. So Andy Frisella, if you don't know, owns a supplement company over in the States, so over in America. And he has a very, very famous mental toughness challenge called 75 Hard. Very, very famous challenge. It's completely free, and by no means am I sponsored by this, but I strongly recommend that you check it out. And at the time, I'd pre-ordered Andy's book. So I read quite a lot of books, and I always kind of have done anyway. And the Book of Mental Toughness, Andy's book, it's this black book. It's got this gold kind of scripted writing on the front of it. And it actually arrived at my apartment. And it arrived at the perfect time because it was exactly what I needed. And the book on mental toughness, Andy goes through on that book and talks about times where hard equals happy. He gives examples of athletes overcoming certain situations. He gives examples of soldiers and warriors fighting through tough times. And in actual fact, all of these stories aligned with that terminology of hard equals happy. I remember actually highlighting it, actually with doing like a massive circle around that little phrase, hard equals happy. And it at the time, it completely aligned with my journey and where I was actually at in my life at that moment in time. So reading that book, I actually decided, and he goes on to talk about his challenge 75 Hard and why it was implemented and why it's there. Recommend the book as well. So I decided to do the challenge. I decided to do 75 Hard. Now, for those of you that don't know what the challenge is, it's not a fitness challenge, it's a mental toughness challenge. It's a challenge where you have to tick off every single box that is on that task list of the day, and you have to do it every single day for 75 days straight. If you miss just one thing, you have to start the entire challenge from the very beginning again, okay? So on this list is certain things like drinking a gallon of water, reading 10 pages of a book, doing 2 workouts every single day. So 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, okay? There's a couple of others on there as well. It was a long time ago now. But you have to tick off every single thing that's actually on that list in order to complete 75 hard. Now, I actually got to day 48, and part of the book, it talks about integrity as well. I got to day 48 and I actually forgot to read 10 pages of a book, ticked off every single box up until that point, and forgot to read 10 pages of a book. It was so frustrating. But during those 48 days, the way that it had changed my life, I'd lost weight, I was feeling better, I was switched on. It was actually during the first period that I actually launched the company Momentum. I launched my baby, I launched my company during this time, and saw massive, massive growth from the very beginning, and saw a tremendous amount, pardon the pun, tremendous amount of momentum right at the very beginning whilst actually doing this challenge. And because of how it felt and the impact it actually had on my life, I failed on day 48, started again, redid the whole thing, and it was the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. It created so much discipline, it created so much focus, so much clarity, and it reminded me that you have to do hard things on a day-to-day basis to create that happiness and create that fulfillment. Because if you're sat there in those moments of your life, and let's say you love to watch Netflix in the evening, if all you do is that thing that you want to do, it becomes very unfulfilling very quickly. If all you want to do is be abroad, like my journey, all I wanted to do was be abroad and be free. If that's all I'm doing without any hard things to overcome, there's no happiness there, there's no fulfillment, I haven't fucking earned that thing. Like, you have to earn those moments, those goals that you want to hit in order to feel really, really fulfilled. It's the same thing as if you've earned money instead of in comparison to if you've won the lottery. If you've earned your money, you respect that money a lot more, whereas if you've earned it, you see so many stories of people that win the lottery and then spend everything because they don't respect the money. You have to go through these hard things and you have to go through these hard challenges to really respect the goal that you're actually working towards. And this is what Andy Frisella's 75 Hard really, really taught me, and it completely changed my life and really gave me that focus and that perspective with the things that I actually wanted to achieve moving forward. So strongly recommend the book. So the Book of Mental Toughness, strongly recommend the challenge, 75 Hard. Again, I'm not sponsored. I don't know Andy personally. Andy definitely doesn't know me. But it was something that I implemented in my life at that time that really, really pivoted the trajectory of my life at that time. And if you're sat there and you're an entrepreneur that is maybe going through the same thing, you've achieved some goals, you've collected some accolades in your life, and you feel lost, you feel like you're not really going anywhere, start implementing some difficult things, some things that you don't want to do in your life. And I'm not saying do anything crazy like skydiving or sitting in an ice bath for 34 minutes or doing anything like nuts, but these little things that you start to implement in your days really do make a massive difference and really help you cherish those achievements when you start to achieve them.